Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business, Friday edition. We made it to Friday, everyone. And I'm Stephen McCollum. And for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. We're going to look at the stock market, the CPI report, which is delayed because of the government shutdown, but at least it's a government report. We'll get you updated on that as well. Here, the top story. Of course, stocks we're paying attention to, and then local and national stories that you need to know as well as we go into the weekend. Airports, if you're traveling soon with this government shutdown, start paying attention to some shutdowns and things to that effect. And let's get into all of it with the Market Watch. Look at this, folks. Even with that CPI report out earlier, you can kind of guess how the market feels about it, because there's obviously no sell-off happening as everything is rallying here today. 294 points up that's for the NASDAQ right now. That's at 23,237 as I read it out of order. The Dow Jones is up 578 points right now, 47,272. The S&P 500 is up 62 points to 6,803. Everything rallying here on this Friday. Russell 2K, the small cap index, 32 points up right now to 25.21 for that as well. So the rally is happening. Dow rises, as you see there, 579 points right now, which puts it at a new record, by the way, for that Dow Jones. It's hit a couple records here lately. So the rally is happening because of the mild inflation data out there is why everything is rallying here today. And we'll get into that with the CPI report. But first, stocks that we're paying attention to. I told you yesterday Ford Motor Company was going to announce after the bell. Well, and they did. $12.72% up right now for the Ford Motor Company. Well, they announced their third quarter earnings, and it was all a beat yesterday for Ford. Their adjusted earnings of 45 cents per share. Expectations was only 36 cents per share. At that point, revenue came in at $47.19 billion. Well, $43.08 billion was the estimated amount. So Ford Motor Company coming through and having big numbers, up 12.88% here today by Ford Motor Company. And then Alphabet's the next stock we're going to look at. You know, Alphabet, parent company to Google, Waymo, etc., those big companies. Artificial company Anthropic and Alphabet's Google, well, they got together. They officially announced their cloud partnership. That's been rumored to be happening for a while. The deal is going to be worth tens of billions of dollars, is how they're telling us it's going to be worth. Well, it gives Anthropic access to up to 1 million of Google's custom-designed tensor processing units. Those are the TPUs, if you're familiar with that trade. Right now. So these guys getting together, and Alphabet stock up today as well. And then finally, as you see on your screen, Deckers Outdoor Corporation is what we're looking at, 12.57%. And with Deckers, I always say automotive because I actually used to know a Deckers automotive company, ironically enough. But this is the outdoor company, 12.57% down here. This is the parent company of apparel like Hoka, UGG. This is that parent company there. Well, the revenue forecast fell short of expectation for Deckers. Deckers does expect full-year revenue to be about $5.35 billion. Well, initially, analysts wanted $5.45 billion. Anytime you redo your revenue less than what expectations are, your stock generally takes a hit that day. 12.60% right now for Deckers Outdoor. When we come back and do our final market watch here later on in this program here on this Friday, we're going to look at Advanced Micro Devices, their chip maker. We're going to look at Intel, another chip maker out there. And then, hey, we'll finish up the week with a stock we've paid attention to all week here, Beyond Meat. Just because we saw the huge 120 one day, 149 another day. Yesterday it dropped a little bit. And we'll just give you an update on that meme stock here as we get wrapped up here on this Friday. But first, Stories that are the headlines that we need to let you know about, that CPI, that Consumer Price Index. So it came out this morning, delayed because of the government shutdown, and it showed a 0.3% increase for the month. That's putting the annual inflation rate at 3%. I told you yesterday, maybe it was Wednesday, the expectation for this report was 3.1% is what people were expecting. So we're just a tick below that at that 3% as well. They also expected that monthly reading that came in at 0.3. They expected to be at 0.4 as well. So everything just underneath that expectation level from the people that expect these things. The annual rate reflected a zero point 0.1 percentage point uptick from August as well. So mild inflation numbers. That's why the stock market's responding like it is here today because of this mild inflation number. Now, if you want to look at the core CPI, that's everything that excludes food and energy. Well, because those are volatile. Well, it showed a 0.2% monthly gain, an annual rate also at that 3% level. Well, the estimates there were 0.3%. So just 0.1% below that, and then 3.1% as well, so also that 0.1% below the expectation level. Core CPI on a monthly basis, well, it posted 0.3% gains in both July and August. The CPI reading, is the only official economic data that's being allowed to be released because of that government shutdown. So it was delayed, but still allowing that to come out with the skeleton staff there at the Bureau of Labor Statistics that puts that reporting out. You wanted to get into specific categories? Well, gasoline had a 4.1% jump. Yeah, that was the largest contributor to the report that otherwise showed inflation pressures aren't that big right now. But gas, 4.1% jump, folks. Food prices, they saw a 0.2% increase. Commodity prices overall, well, they were up 0.5%. So if you look at that at an annual basis, energy was up 2.8%. Food was up 3.1%. For those of you that need food and gas to get around as well, that's what we were looking at. If you want to look at that food index a little bit deeper here as well, meaning meat, poultry, fish, eggs, well, they're up 5.2% in the past year. Non-alcoholic beverages up 5.3% in that same yearly time frame. So if you look at energy, well, they were higher because of electricity numbers going up. Yeah, they were, basically energy was up 5.1%, and a lot of that, as I said, attributed to that electricity side. If you look at natural gas, that's up 11.7% over the last year as well. And then for the year, now gas prices, yes, up 4.1% here in this segment. Gasoline prices are actually down 0.5% over the last year. So the sharp increase here, the 4.1% with this reporting, but if you go over the year, still negative there, 0.5%. Now, if you look at shelter costs, shelter costs is a big number in the CPI. It's about 1/3 of that level. So it's weighted heavily here for shelter costs. Well, it rose just 2.2%, and it was up 3.6% from a year ago. So we are seeing rents coming down here for everybody as you sit out there. Services, excluding shelter costs, well, they were 0.2% higher. And now, obviously, shelter costs the biggest one. That's why they take that out. Now, if you're looking for a new vehicle or a used car, new vehicles in this period saw a 0.8% increase. Used car sales and trucks, well, they actually fell 0.4% here with this reporting out today on the CPI index. So muted inflationary numbers at the 3% level. We saw some upticks over the last couple reporting periods. Now we're seeing a slight downtick here from expectations of what everybody thought it would be at. So inflation, although still high, they wanted it at the 2%, at least it's stable. We can say that as well. So the CPI report, we'll have to see, will this government shutdown ever end so we can get back to our regular reporting on those reports? And one thing that never seems to end either, well, the European Union and its fights with Meta, TikTok, the other big tech companies. Well, earlier today, the European Union said Meta and TikTok, they had breached their transparency obligations. Well, they did an investigation, and it could result in billions of dollars in fines. to Meta and TikTok. The inquiry there by the European Union found both companies had violated that Digital Services Act that the EU has out there. And what that is that's basically a digital rule book. It imposes a set of strict requirements designed to keep internet users safe. Well, a lot of big data companies are breaking that and have been fined, Apple included, Google also. But it also, the Digital Reporting Act there makes it easier to report counterfeit or unsafe goods or even flag harmful or illegal content, things like hate speech. So they also this Digital Services Act pays attention to basically what happens to kids on there, right? Ads targeted to kids and things to that effect. So the EU launched investigations all the way back into 2024, a year ago, into both those companies. They found the companies did not allow easy access to data for researchers. They also found that Meta's Instagram and Facebook, well, it did not make it easy for users to flag illegal content. So they effectively challenged the moderation decisions as well. So they didn't allow researchers to easy access, and then they kept some other features away from them as well. Yes. So the inquiry found both Facebook and Instagram deployed dark patterns or deceptive interference designs for their protocol for flagging malicious content. Important things like child sex abuse and terrorist content. Yeah, they didn't want that stuff flagged, or it made it hard to flag that stuff. Well, that led to a lot of confusion and a lot of stuff just slipping through. And the EU Commission there said it was confusing and dissuading to report that stuff, which then they kind of came out with a conclusion that it was effective at how hard it was to report that illegal stuff out there. So EU going after Meta and TikTok. We'll have to keep our eyes on that and see if there are fines. There will be. How big the fines will be and if there's possibly a settlement before it gets too far over there in the EU. And if you're traveling here coming up with this government shutdown, we're in day 23, I think. I've lost track of the government shutdown. No end in sight. I'm starting to think those predictive markets that were saying into November, well, they're going to be correct. But November 15th might be an actual number. Remember the amount of money on that November 15th date we talked about last week? Well, it's affecting the airports officially now because 3 major U.S. airports yesterday issued ground stops or even delays. They're all attributed to those staffing shortages and obviously the federal government shutdown. They've officially missed paychecks, both the TSA, air traffic controllers. So we're seeing maybe, I have some stats coming up for you, but I assume we're seeing people calling out sick as well. Ronald Reagan National over there in D.C., well, they were the first to issue the ground delay program yesterday. They noted flights were pushed back an average of 30 minutes due to those staffing issues. Newark Liberty International Airport there in New Jersey, LaGuardia Airport in New York, well, they later issued ground stops due to staffing. They halted all their departures from those airports. So according to Federal Aviation Administration, and here in Phoenix, we haven't had issues yet, right? But the FAA says the probability of a ground stop being extended is medium. So they say medium's 30 to 60% percentage. We normally operate in a 5% range for that out there, by the way. Earlier this month, the FAA did confirm it was facing nationwide air traffic disruptions. Staffing shortages are a big part of this as well, but also, the government shutdown and people leaving, adding to those shortages, we should say, right? We know earlier this month, Chicago, Nashville, Houston, Las Vegas had those shortage issues, and just no end in sight, right? Officials said the understaffing coincided, no shocker here, with that government shutdown. Yep, and I just looked at it. I wrote it at the bottom here. It's the 23rd day for the government shutdown. Second longest in the history. Last one in 2019 was over 30 days at that time. So like I said, normally 5% of delays are attributed to staffing shortages. And Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, he said 53% of the delays have been caused by understaffing is here in this side. So big increase from 5 to 53% here in short staffing. So check with your airline daily before you fly out. Like I said, Phoenix, Not any delays that we've seen, at least. It's still running smoothly, but obviously a lot of people connect here in Phoenix from these bigger cities. So something to pay attention to if you are traveling anytime soon through with an airplane. And now we talk a lot. We had a couple stories yesterday of layoffs coming. And we're going into the holiday season, and Target is officially cutting about 1,000 corporate positions. And they're eliminating 800 open roles in an effort to speed up business decision making and drive growth under their new CEO there. Michael Fidelki is his name. So he wants to be more lean and green out there for Target. They want to have faster decisions, things moving quicker. Fidelki, who will succeed the current CEO in February, or he did succeed him, I should say, in February. He's been focused on ways to speed up the way the corporate teams work. And he wants to, like I said, turn that company into a leaner and faster organization, all because they want to drive innovation instead of doing what they did last time and get stuck with a bunch of inventory because the trends changed on them and nobody wanted some of that stuff. So they want to eliminate layers of management to stop kind of the red tape from happening. About 80% of the roles being cut, well, they are based here in the U.S. The majority are concentrated at where Target is based out of, Minneapolis area. So that is happening there. And it's going to be a lot of those leadership positions. Target said those in the leadership positions were 3 times more likely to be laid off than the other employees around Target. These eliminations are going to account for 8% of the company's global headquarters team. Affected employees will receive benefits and pay through the beginning of January. And then, of course, there's severance that, if anything, is offered to them, according to Target as well. So going into holiday season, Target wanting to get more lean out there, more faster to make changes, etc., coming your way. And then if you have YouTube TV, you've cut the cord, you've gone with YouTube TV, and well, last month you worried about an NBC Universal outage on YouTube TV. Say that 10 times fast. Well, now you've got to worry about YouTube TV and another potential blackout coming, and this time with Disney. So Disney, right? ABC, ESPN. Disney did say today that it would begin running public messages for YouTube TV subscribers because they want to alert customers that the company's networks, all of them as a whole, that, like I said, includes ABC and ESPN, you sports fans. They're going to be dropped from the YouTube TV service if the two sites can't reach a new distribution deal. That deal expires October 30th at midnight there, so next Thursday, is when that'll happen. Disney began running those public announcements on YouTube TV, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Actually, yesterday is when they started to. Interesting here, because I looked into these negotiations. YouTube TV is asking for better rates for Disney's programming. No shocker. They did the same thing with that NBC Universal side. They always want the lower rates. But YouTube TV has about 10 million subscribers. They want more favorable terms given how big they are. YouTube TV is again asking to ingest Disney's streaming content. YouTube TV wants to give customers the ability to view programming on Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus without leaving the YouTube platform. Right now, you have to leave it and go to their apps to do it. So they're asking for that service out there. They asked for this also in their negotiations with NBC Universal, but NBC Universal said, no, we're not doing that. Disney has no plans to say yes to this either as well. So, obviously, if NBC Universal didn't do it, Disney's not going to bow to it either. But that's a big part of that conversation between Disney and YouTube TV. So just a heads up, next week, more dark programming coming your way if they do not get a deal. And NBC Universal came down to the wire, and then they extended it a couple days, and they did come to a long-term agreement, and it's going to go that way for Disney as well if there isn't an actual shortage out there. And when we come back here at McCollum on Business, we keep this show rolling here on this Friday. We got a couple local stories for you. Of course, we'll look at the stock market one more time with the Market Watch. Stocks we're paying attention to. Let's wrap it up strong here on this Friday. Thanks for joining us here live. If you're catching us on Robat TV or even on demand here on Robot TV on YouTube as well. We'll talk more about where you can find all of the programming here that we do as a production company here when we come on back here. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business. Woo-wee. Sorry about the extended commercial break there, but you just saw, right? You saw the Real Matrix there. Episode 5 is up. They come out Wednesdays at noon. Another episode will be out this coming Wednesday, but episode 5 is up as of last Wednesday. Join the Angry Patriot and his journey through the Matrix there. And I think this week he had Dale Hillestray in on as a guest there on his program. You can catch it on demand at Robot TV. It's got its own channel there, of course, on the free YouTube page of the shows that we produce here as well. And then it does have a free podcast there on Podbean as well. All your favorite stations, podcast stations, you can find it at. Just search The Real Matrix for that show. The main event, of course, 8 to 10 a.m. live here at Robot TV. You can catch it on demand now here at Robot TV. Of course, the free YouTube page it's being uploaded to right now. And then on all your favorite podcast systems, for those of you that like to listen to the shows instead of watching them there, I get it, right? This show, as soon as we're done, we'll get that up at YouTube as well. And then demand at Robot TV also for this show. And then the pit stop. We are 1 week away after this weekend from the Championship 4 here in Phoenix on the NASCAR side of things. We did our pit stop look ahead show. We did the look back show to Talladega on Monday. Look ahead show was done yesterday, posted Robot TV, the free YouTube page. Even has its own podcast out there. At the Pit Stop Talk is where you can find that. And follow me at the Pit Stop Talk as well on X and for the social media side of things. And we appreciate you supporting all of the shows that we produce here. Of course, Robot TV has other programming, the morning show, which is fantastic. That's done by other people out there. But our show's available there on the free YouTube page. Like and subscribe that and the podcast as well, if you would. It just helps us get it out there and shows the support from that side. And with all that being said, let's finish up this Friday well. Let's get into that last Market Watch. And market's doing well on a Friday here, folks. October 24th here, and we have a rally today based off of that mild inflation report from the CPI that came out earlier today. So everything way up, right? Dow Jones 576 points up. S&P 500 up 59 points. The Nasdaq's up 303 points. The Russell 2K, yes, it's up 28 points right now as well. Bitcoin, well, it's up today, but it's only in that 110,626 range for Bitcoin here today. It'll be interesting to see what it does over the weekend here coming up because, you know, all-time high was 125,000. It hit on October 6th. Has come down since then, and now it's just kind of hovering here. 107, gets up to 110, got up to 112 earlier this week, dropped back down to 107. Bitcoin and those cryptocurrencies are kind of going through some stuff right now, and stocks we're paying attention to. Let's look at a couple chip makers that here as well. Advanced Micro Devices is the first stock we're going to look at. Well, they're up today, 6.66%. IBM came out earlier today, and they said that it can run a key quantum computing error correction algorithm on those AMD chips. That's a lot of words that I don't understand, but it seems like it's impressive. And the market likes it. 6.67% up here for AMD based off of that IBM news as well. Reuters gave us that information that IBM said they can run that error correction algorithm there on those chips. Now let's look at Intel as our next stock as well. They're up a little bit today, 0.17% right now, was up over 1% earlier today. But they reported better than expected revenue and demand for its core x86 processors for PCs. Well, they're recovering and selling a lot of those again. And the demand is up there for those x86 chips. So Intel getting some of that turnaround they were hoping to get happening right now. And then we'll finish up today with Beyond Meat. Let's look at that stock one more time here this week, as it has been, the meme stock has been through the roof all week. Yesterday finished down. Today another 13.38% down. Today as well, still way up for the week, because 140% gain, 149% gain, 120% gain before the sell-off the last 2 days. But well, a price target cut came out. Mizuho, the investment company, did that price cut. Well, they said Mizuho is a bank, by the way. They said that Beyond Meat has become a meme stock, and their wild swings over these recent sessions, well, it says they're facing weakening demand trends. And so they did a price cut on Beyond Meat. And another down day here for this meme stock. And riding these meme stock it's an adventure. God bless you if you want to go on those adventures, which you never know when people are going to just run them up, and you never know when those people are going to take their money out at the same time. So something that's fascinating to watch are those meme stocks out there. Now let's talk a little bit about Arizona with just a couple stories. And it is official. Elon Musk did announce it, and brace yourself. You're going to be seeing even more self-driving taxis coming up here over the next year. Yes, applications are out there galore for those autonomous vehicles. Arizona, of course, has become a hub for autonomous vehicle testing over the past decade, right? Waymo, Uber at one time was doing it here as well before they canceled that side. And everybody's testing us here because of weather, clear skies, etc. You know, if you remember, Waymo began testing its autonomous taxi program in Chandler in 2017. And then they opened it up to the general public in Phoenix, in the Phoenix metro area. So it's about 2020 is when they did that out there. But the competition is getting strong out there. Yes, Elon Musk, Tesla CEO, said his car company plans to launch a robo-taxi service in 8 to 10 metropolitan areas by the end of this year. They're already testing it and doing it in Austin, Texas for the last couple months as well. Elon Musk said that it does depend on regulatory approvals that they have to get, but he did say that they do expect to operate in Nevada and Florida and Arizona by the end of this year, is what he said on the call. Don't forget, Tesla announced their numbers and their third quarter results here the other day as well. Tesla is one of 13 companies, 13, that have submitted paperwork here to test autonomous vehicles in Arizona. And this is all according to the Arizona Department of Transportation. Tesla vehicles currently operate with a driver on board. You have to be attentive, right? Not autonomous. A department spokesman for the ADOT did confirm that Tesla has submitted self-certification documentation in compliance with the state's relatively permissive autonomous vehicle regulations. That basically means we're easier to get the way to get it into. We're more accepting of it here than other places are. As well. So basically, the rules require companies operating within the state, well, they have to show their vehicles meet and will follow all applicable federal laws, regulations, and guidelines, just like us humans do. And they will meet all applicable certificate, title, registration, licensing, insurance requirements, and all of that stuff. They have to be able to comply and with all traffic laws, stop signs, etc. Officers waving you on and stuff, all the motor vehicle safety laws and the regulations here in Arizona. So they have to show that they will work like a human will out there. Although some would argue humans don't follow that stuff, right? Tesla would have to obtain a separate transportation network company permit. That would be if they want to operate commercial robotaxi service. It's kind of the same thing that taxi services need to obtain. So regular taxi services. So it's something you have to get separate from the original approval that you get, right? ADOT has also said that they've talked to Uber recently about launching a self-driver service of their own here in Arizona. And it's interesting when KJazz, I think it was, I saw that story, they reached out to Uber, and Uber just sent them that Waymo story from 2023 where you're able to book a Waymo in the Uber app. But we do know Uber did apply for autonomous vehicle stuff as well out there. So more autonomous vehicles might be coming our way here in Arizona by the end of the year based off of that. And we talked yesterday about TSMC. It was yesterday or Wednesday, I forget. Right, but they want to add on to their plant up there at I-17 and the 303. And they want to do a mixed-use master plan community up there in North Phoenix. Well, shocker. Tell me if you've heard this before. It's facing resistance from residents, all because of the industrial component that could potentially house that expansion of the TSMC's campus. There's residents up there, Village Planning Committee. Well, they had a big meeting earlier this month, and they were previously unaware that North Park Phoenix, is what it's called, would include industrial uses in its land use districts. So they acted surprised it would be there. North Park Phoenix is envisioned as a community with commercial, employment, and residential uses. Also significant open space and preserve land. It's going to cover about 6,000 acres as well as what the plan is out there. It would include a maximum of 15,000 dwelling units, including detached single-family homes, apartments up there as well. Well, homebuilder Pulte Group submitted plans with the city of Phoenix. They want to do that planned unit development to rezone an undeveloped state land trust that creates North Park development. Pulte does plan to bid on it once it does go up for auction, the land. And then, I told you already, TSMC signed in as a partner in that rezoning efforts. As it eyes a portion of that North Park to potentially expand its plan. And that's kind of what the residents are a little upset about, that industrial sides of things of that. North Park would have 7 land use districts, including roughly 900 acres set aside for an innovation corridor located directly south of TSMC's plant as well. So big growth up there in that I-17 North Phoenix area so far. We don't know when the Arizona state land auction date will be set. Nobody's come out and done those steps yet as well. But developers are moving ahead with efforts to rezone the site leading up to, in case they win that auction coming up. But residents aren't happy. They've had a bunch of meetings, residents expressing their stuff, right? You got the Axon battle over there in Scottsdale. You've got other additional, right? The Banner Health up there in Scottsdale. Now TSMC in North Phoenix. Whew, residents and the growth not always getting along out there. And folks, appreciate you joining me here on this Friday edition of McCollum on Business. We'll be back on Monday, 11 o'clock live here, Robat TV on demand. So we'll put it up on demand, Robat TV right now, and get it uploaded to YouTube for you. Everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy your sports and your business talk out there. And we'll see you on Monday, everybody. Have a great one.